Yes, welcome back to Juzhno-Sakhalinsk. We're here in Sakhalin on the east coast of mainland Russia. We are some 40 kilometers or so above Japanese territory. We're at the bottom of a mountain that's seen snow aplenty this morning, but the action is still to come. Very different conditions to the first 2 days. We've had a fair amount of sunshine here in Russia over the opening couple of days of the World Para-Alpine Skiing World Cup. That's what it looked like about half an hour ago. It has cleared up somewhat, and even the sun was threatening to make an appearance about 5 minutes ago. But certainly when they were out there inspecting the course, should I say, the weather did get a little bit different to what we've had so far. It's not unexpected. Tomorrow we are expecting another big downpour of snow in the region, but we're not racing tomorrow, so it can do what it likes as long as it doesn't affect the rest of the competition. It's much windier. Even the foxes don't want to know. Probably just wondering why he can't get across the road. There's a joke there somewhere. As I say, these are shots from a little while ago. Now, this is what it looks like. It's a little steadier, the drizzle of snow. Coach Greg looking on. Again, this is a little look back from a little earlier. Around about quarter past 11 local time. These were the conditions. Didn't fancy that job. I got turned down for it anyway. Not sure I would have wanted to go outside and do that. There was a bit of a meeting. The coaches all seemed very happy in the end. As I say, those conditions have passed as well. Visibility is back to normal. I couldn't see the top of the run out of my window half an hour or so ago. I can now, and everyone seems much happier, including Laurie Stevens. Franchikina comes second 2 days running in the women's standing. And she came up with something different today to affect Maddie Bochet's continued winning streak. Only the one female sit skier here taking part. All about the points for Laurie Stevens. Once again, those final preparations taking place from the team behind the scenes that you don't always get a chance to see and hear about. Those guys and girls that maintain the skis and the sit skis. This is vastly different as well. We were just under minus yesterday, very much inside it today, -8. It got as low as -17 overnight. It's going to get colder than that in the next few days as well.
Внимание, дан старт первому открывающему под лидером A.
First forerunner is on course.
This is one of the forerunners coming down. There's a camera on their head. I'm hoping we're going to get to see footage at some point. Keep it easy, keep it easy. I've only been to one race where a forerunner has fallen and delayed the start. That's not what they're there to do. And this is the first time you've tuned in here in Sakhalin. We're at the fourth stage of the World Para-Alpine Skiing World Cup so far. We've been to Visonas, we've been to Pratenovoso, we've been to Kranjska Gora as well. Little lunge towards the line you see there, just to try and stop the clock as quickly as possible. Little lunge forward. There are actually 19 gates on the course, contrary to that last graphic. That's what I have on my official piece of paper anyway. So we'll start with the women's standing. No VI athletes here, no vision impaired athletes in the women's section. The locals were hoping for bigger numbers to attend this event. I have to say it's been exceptionally well run over the early stages. It is slightly disappointing for the locals that there aren't just a few more skiers here. That's Anya. She's the race director. She's the lady that has to make the important calls, whether it be on or off. Obviously in her mind is the safety of the athletes, which is paramount, of course. Bochet, dazzling as ever, 2 easy victories on paper. But for her, it will always be about tackling the course in front of her, not just those around. Abinia Smith and Barbara Voronchikina are those that are tasked with attempting to stop her from taking victory again today. There is the young Russian from Siberia. When asked if the really cold conditions would affect her, she said, "I train in Siberia. It's worse than this." Fair point. Fair point well made. See Bochet just in the start hut. Abinia Smith just stepping into the bindings on the skis.
Standing women are preparing for start.
Here she is then. Record-breaking lady is Marie Bochet. She became the first para skier to win all 5 titles at World Championships back-to-back, 2013, 2015.
Attention.
Her last two Paralympic experiences, she's taken 4 from 5. Something tells me that in her mind, the next thing to tick off the list is the clean sweep at the Paralympic Games. Beijing in 2 years is, of course, that benchmark. She took all 5 titles in last year's World Championships, split over 2 different countries. She's had a couple of DNFs. Did not finish, for those new to the sport. A couple of DNFs this season, whereas it was almost absolutely perfect in last year's World Cup campaign. Boucher not being tested in terms of times here in Sakhalin. Neither Schmidt or Voronchikina can get anywhere near at the moment. They're just not at the level that Boucher is racing, how steady she is through here. So the leader bib, worn by those that lead the category that they're skiing in. So, for instance, we've done 3 days of downhill. The leader bib signifying the person that leads the World Cup in that particular event, rather than the World Cup itself. Seeing as this is the first time we've had downhill in the World Cup so far. And, of course, she leads the way. Binja Schmidt.
From Switzerland, bib number 2.
As you can see, no use of ski poles in either hand. That's due to the impairment that Binja has, being born without forearms. Forearm bone, at least. Schmidt some 2.6 seconds down. There are 3 sections on the course that have a timing mechanism. Intermediate times, we call them. That's the second area that you go through, and that measures how far or near you are to the one leading the race. Tucking in, maintaining the balance and maintaining the best line possible now for the young Swiss skier. And Binja comes across in 1:12.27. Off come the gloves. Out comes the Russian. This is Voronchikina. Nailed the landing. That jump really has caused some problems for the male sit skiers, it has to be said. Voronchikina just 0.29 down. That's good from the 19-year-old from Siberia. Hasn't been able to enter a major championships yet. He is only 19, but hasn't had the taste of a World Champs or a Paralympic Games just yet. So he's not too far behind here. And this is the sort of spirit that you have to show when you're up against Marie Boucher. How close can Voronchikina get when she comes towards the line? You see her hair just flailing in the wind behind. 1.05 is the difference in the end. Well, Flying Blonde couldn't catch the brilliant brunette. And it is Marie Boucher that will stay in the leader position after our first 3 days of downhill. See Voronchikina's impairment on the left side, born without part of her left hand. Schmidt and Boucher chatting away.
It was strange.
takes cheese with her. This is true story. This, she takes cheese with her everywhere she goes. She's from the Buffon Valley. She takes the cheese that area is famous for with her everywhere she goes, so she feels like she's at home. There you go. I take a scarf. Everybody's different. Can't eat a scarf. Boucher, Volonchikina and Schmidt. As it has been for the first 2 days. Don't adjust your TVs. It's exactly the same today. That is Rory Stevens. Another who's wearing the leader bib. She is the only lady here, so being the leader was all down to her completing the course over the first 2 days. It's not been plain sailing in the women's sitting category so far. There is an emergence of a few new names. Liu Xitong and Zhang of China as well. Tanaka, a new name on the circuit too for me. Barbara van Bergen of the Netherlands has been putting in some podium position finishes as well, especially in the Super G. Stevens finishing in second, third and second in the 3 days of Super G that they had in Vassana. She won the giant slalom on both days ahead of Zhang and Tanaka, and then Van Bergen and Liu. So plenty of new people for this lady to compete against on the circuit. Sadly, not here for you to enjoy in this broadcast. Talking about Stevens the other day, we were mentioning the fact that she hasn't been to a Paralympic Games without picking up a medal, which is a heck of an achievement. Shows her quality as an athlete throughout the years, not just in recent times or olden days. It's a constant with her. In fact, Tarvisio, I think I'm right in saying, is the only place where she didn't medal in major events since she started. So that's a pretty impressive track record. Stevens, you see there, just grinding sideways to slow the momentum through a section. Play the game, really. You know, if she was racing against other people, then you'd perhaps come through that section faster. But she's racing against the course. Completely different mindset. She knows that she has the ability of racking up some points here. You don't get maximum points when you race on your own. You don't get maximum points if you race and there's just two of you. But you certainly can pick up some points here by competing, and that is exactly what Laurie Stevens is doing. Equally, it is always great to get an opportunity to practice wherever you are going in the world, and she's travelling with people like Andrew Kirker and Thomas Walsh, so that'll keep her entertained, I'm sure. Considering the pair is the new Laurel and Hardy, I think, but pair of them have certainly made me laugh this week. Stevens comes through 1:21.82. Ignore those intermediates on the side. Not sure what they're measuring that against, but there you go. So Stevens comfortable. I offered Andrew Kirker the advice of perhaps having a chat with Laurie, because she's not having any issues getting down and he's crashed out twice. So the bruised Alaskan might want to have a chat with her.
are preparing for start.
Well, off goes the leader bib, but it's something that she'll maintain going into the next event that holds downhill.
6 and Ivan Frantsev, bib number 7.
As we start to think about moving into the men's events up next then. Stevens 121.82. Some of the VI athletes just going through their final preparations. Miroslav Haraus, winner on day number 1 with his guide Manos Hudik, only to be well beaten by Bertagnoli on day number 2. A little bit of course maintenance taking place, so slight delay before we get started with the men's VI. Now, snow actually falling at the time of racing has more of an impact on those in the VI section than anybody else. Each of these athletes will have a different eye impairment. Each of them will cope with snow falling very, very differently. Miroslav has been very impressive in the last couple of years. His impairment is nystagmus. It's a condition that causes an involuntary eye movement. So being able to focus without snow falling is difficult enough. At speed, with snow added, can make it slightly trickier. His guide, brightly coloured, so that you can follow him. Also, they have the instructions that come through the Bluetooth headset within their helmets, all the mod cons. And away we go with Haraus and Hudik. Now the landing. That's the trickiest part of the course at times, these guys have been saying. It's a really early jump. This big spray of snow. So a fair amount of fresh powder around, so getting away from the line that you want could be extremely costly. A bit wide here from Haraus. Maros just having a look behind him. A slight right and a jump to go with it before a little S-bend. The two of them looking comfortable. They know they have to be quick. He's catching him again. He saw this on day 1. The guide being caught. 60.84 for Miroslav Haraus. Put the throttle down towards the end. See him here holding on nicely to that right-hander. And equally the final jump on the course, holding no problems either. So the 33-year-old sets a time, but the 20-year-old Giacomo Bertagnoli will be looking to try and get inside. Nice. Really smooth through the air there. Andrea Ravelli leading him on. You can perhaps hear some of the conversations that are taking place. The word jump universal there. He's inside, 0.16. A Paralympic and a world gold medal winner so far in his young career. Took him a couple of years to get to that podium, but once he got there, he got the appetite for it. 0.41 inside. Well, this is just like yesterday. On day one, he was ahead at the second intermediate and dropped in all manner of time. Yesterday, he was ahead at both, and he kept up the speed. Can he do it again this time? You can see the snow hitting them in the face as they come through. Oh, 0.41. Stayed exactly the same over the line as he did in the second intermediate. And, well, that was a little disappointed look on the face of Miroslav Hadeus. Another good, solid, quick run from the Italian pairing. Never any doubt through the jumps. Real smooth. And the new leader, not only today, but of the World Cup, should stay with Bertagnoli. Can Ivan Frentsev upset the apple cart? 27-year-old German Hagadanowski is his guide. Ivan got into Para-Alpine through the guidance of his sister to begin with, another that has competed in Para-Alpine herself. She encouraged Ivan to do it as well. And now with German, these two trying to put up a time that will compete with Hadeus and Bertagnoli. 0.58 a moment ago, he's 1.58, a whole second lost through that section. Gold medalist in the VI slalom in La Molina, the World Championships a few years ago. Frentsev struggling to find that sort of form since then. He followed that up in Panorama in Canada a couple of years later. It's a bit of time away from the circuit. He hasn't quite found the pace since then to come back and start medaling just yet. Frentsev drops into third position as he has done in the opening 2 days. Good to see that the aerial tasks that have been put in front of the VI skiers haven't affected any of them. They've all finished 3 days solid performances for them. Bertagnoli takes it from Hadeus. Just over 0.4 of a second, the difference maker. Into the men's standing next as we look back at some of the VI action. That's the flying Italian going through. Change of guide. We talked about this the other day. Matt Marcoux, another that's changed his guide in the previous year or so. I do like the men's VI. I think it's got a real good contest about it right across the board. There's always several that can win. Good to see Patrick Jensen of Australia picking up some podium places in the World Cup so far. Neil Simpson winning the slalom for Great Britain in Kranjska Gora. Both Kubatska and Bertagnoli disqualified on that day. Marcoux, Kubatska, another that is capable of winning medals. Delaplace of France, who's burst onto the scene recently as well. So, yeah, got a lot of time for the men's VI events. There's Arthur Barchet getting ready. Alyabev in the backside of that shot. Those two will go 4th and 5th out of the gates respectively. Thomas Walsh, who, if we do this right before he starts his run, yesterday he was so disappointed with his run. You could actually see him shaking his head in disappointment halfway down. I asked him about that. I said, were you shaking your head? He went, I was so upset. I was so angry, and it just wasn't the line. So fair enough. I'd never seen that before, but Thomas Walsh has shown me a lot of things I've never seen before in Alpine. A massive heart is one of the things he shows all the time. Absolutely nailed that game. This is better. He looks quicker. He looks happier here. I said on day one, he's one of those that wears his emotions on the outside, gets a little bit sideways there. He wears his emotions on the outside, and often the moment he crosses the line, you know if it's a good run or a bad run for Tommy Walsh. He lets you know. Towards the line he comes then. He will set the target for everybody else. And the 25-year-old
Time of
goes 1:03.53. Are you happy? Well, you never know, do you? The Italians giving him a fair applause. And that's a happier Thomas Walsh after this run. Alexei Bugayev spent a little bit of time in the leaders' box so far this week.
Alexei Bugayev from Russia, bib number 9, starting.
Motoring through the early sections, it'll be interesting to see where he is at that first intermediate. Was Walsh's run good, or is Bukayev's just better? 0.38 inside here. To really maintain his balance on that one. He got quite low at the back. No ski pole in the right hand due to his impairment. A couple of silvers on his debut World Championships. Hasn't stopped winning medals since then. A gold in the Super Combined in Pyeongchang. He's got the ability, like I say, Bugayev, he was 0.81 ahead of the second intermediate. The snow is starting to come a little bit heavier here. He dips into the line to stop the clock. 1.19 inside Walsh's time. So Bugayev cut short
1 minute, 2.34.
Walsh's visit to the leader box. There's a face of a man that's thinking, what do I need to do now? Well, you get a day off. That's a start. Just see there, Bugayev really having to counterbalance. He gets down quickly. Robin Kush should be next to try and take him out. 21-year-old coming up. There he is. An athlete born with hemiplegia affects the right side of his body, mainly the right leg. Can he get somewhere near Bugayev? No, 0.61 out. That's a lot of ground to make up in the world of skiing. really fighting with the course. See the work the legs are having to do. Didn't lose too much in the second section. Needs to think about trying to cut some corners here. Get as close as he can to the gates and maybe, just maybe, make up a bit of time. He'll tuck himself in here for the finish. Point and go from this moment on. 103.46. He's inside Walsh, though. Into second, so Bugaev stays where he is.
Switzerland is 1 minute 3.46.
I hope.
Ian Walsh just having a natter in the leader box. Almost star-shaped through that moment for Kush. Now the current leader of the downhill. Arguably the best in the world over all the disciplines. Para-Alpine, Arthur Boucher.
Arthur Boucher from France, bib 11 is on course.
Frighteningly talented at just 19. Impairment affects his spinal cord. Causes a weakness and tremors within the legs, so you often see Boucher really fighting when it comes to the turns with his legs. Oh, a little out of shape here. He was 0.80 up. Just got thrown off to his left through that section a moment ago. It's not slowing him down, clearly. 1.43 ahead. Maybe it was due to the speed. Caused that little moment. Not every run is easy. He's gone through that little issue as he punches towards the line to stop the clock. 2.18 inside. Yep. Turn away, don't look. Bugaev out of the leader box, and not by a little, but by a lot. Boucher wipes another 2 seconds away from everybody else's time. Just here, though, that might have been the end of it, had he not been able to control. Nearly inside the 60-second mark. Alexander Albayo.
Alexander Alyabev from Russia, bib number 12 is on course.
How do you get near Boucher's time? Alyabev already a second back. Year-old bronze medal winner in Sochi. .41 down now. Currently in third position, I make that. Any more than 3 seconds may well be too costly. In terms of a podium place, just inside 3 seconds, 2.91. So Alyabev goes into third.
Alexander Alyabev is 1 minute 3.7.
Boucher stays where he is. Russian goes into the top 3, but with Salka, Field, Pyancic still to come. That might not be somewhere he gets to stay, but we'll soon see. Marcus Salka coming home in second yesterday. Austrian makes his start. Customs officer from Klagenfurt. couple of golds at the World Champs in La Molina back in 2013. Same in Sochi. Has to go down as his defining moment. Those couple of golds in the games here in Russia in 2014 in the downhill and the Super G was within 0.7 of O'Shea here. He's cut that down to 0.52. Is this the man that can finally stop O'Shea here in Sakhalin? Salka pushed yesterday hard. Has he got a little bit of speed in this final section? It's going to be close. Oh, 0.63. Good performance from Salka yet again. Just showing Arthur Bauchet that he's not quite going to have it all his own way. But Salka just wanted a little bit more out of the course than it was going to allow him. Very solid, very composed run. Salka goes into second. Thomas Field did all right yesterday after a DNF on the opening day. 32-year-old has in his mind a retirement plan. Don't mean like a pension. 2023 World Champs. He says he'll be of an age then where he's done, he's finished. He'll want to spend more time with his wife, Evelyn. And certainly when he does retire, he'll retire with a lot of memories. A bronze medalist, or a silver medalist, should I say, in the slalom, and a bronze, the giant slalom in 06 in Turin. Right, was the anniversary of the opening of the games in Vancouver yesterday. I saw Benoit Huot, a former Canadian para swimmer, who was a torchbearer for that competition, mentioning that on social media this morning. So I think it was yesterday, was the anniversary of the opening of the Vancouver Games a decade ago. Where does time go, eh? Thomas Field's time ebbed away in that run, 1:04.13. Niko Pajancic, despite all the letters, is much easier to say than you think. Oh, a little bit out of shape for Pajancic. That early jump really can be a game changer. You've got to throw yourself at it because it gives you the speed and the momentum going into the middle part of the course. But he's already finding himself 2 seconds back, so Pajancic will not affect the podium places with this run, you would fancy. The 22-year-old now 2.92 back. Born without his right forearm. So again, just the use of the ski pole in the left hand.
Время заезда Нико Паянчич, номер 15, 1:04.91.
Time of Niko Pajancic is 1 minute 4.
Just there, look, that's going to cost you all manner of time. He's lucky to still have been upright, to be fair to him. Damage limitation done. His 3 days of downhill done. Memorable thanks.
Номер 16, Франция.
Manuel Bourdin from France, beep 16 is on course.
Can he take inspiration from his counterpart, Arthur Bachet? Oh, he's off the course. He's just about got back inside, but that will not be good for the clock at all for Manuel. His style is to take the risks. His style is to go out as fast as he can. He's taken a few bumps and falls over the last couple of campaigns. The French team certainly see something in him. You might have heard him groaning there. 2.31 seconds back. He's just going to tuck in and try and get over the line in a decent time. He'll go into fifth position here. We saw him stamping his feet yesterday in a sort of comedy anger. Today he'll be more frustrated for sure.
Time of Manuel Bourdin is 1 minute 3.39.
Off to meet his teammate. Well, I have no idea what that says. I'm going to need a replay of that if I've got any chance. I wasn't expecting it either. I'm going to go for happy birthday to someone, but absolutely no idea. Oh, happy Valentine's Day, of course. How can I forget? I'm trapped in a caravan with no one around me. How can I forget it's Valentine's Day? I do take the picture of my wife everywhere I go, so there you go. I'm sure she is watching. Jordan Brossan. Maybe that's what I need to do, right? Happy Valentine's Day across my chest when I get home in about 2 weeks' time. 1.16 down, Brossan. Only 2 seconds, but 2 seconds from Bachet is not unreasonable. Again, if you can keep that inside 2.5 to 3, we'll find out here. Oh, into fifth. He's ahead of Bourdin, but just those last few tenths of a second will cost him. He raises his hand. He's happy with that one.
Time of Jordan
Brossan coming in just outside 3 seconds back. And the French all smiles. He coped with that really well. A bit like Bourdin, of course, those two not born with their impairments. The French love on Valentine's Day. There you go. Like I say, Mikushin out next.
Alexei Mingushin from Russia, beep 18 started.
Just 21. Right arm amputee. Or left arm amputee, should I say. 1.6 seconds back. Not many skiers on the circuit with no arms. Martin Franze of Slovakia springs to mind. Very difficult in terms of balance. Certainly things like the jumps become an altogether different challenge as you're learning, especially if you're learning because you've acquired your impairment. Mikushin, 6.08 seconds the difference from him. He'll have a quick look back. The scoreboard is just behind their left shoulder as they get across the line. He got really low there. If that's the opposite side, that's a struggle. He did manage to get his fist down just briefly through the glove onto the ground to try and help. If that's the opposite way round and you're starting to fall for an athlete in para-skiing, certainly for an athlete like Alexei Mikushin, that might have been game over.
Да, наступит тоже тебя болеть буду. Давай. Отдыхать.
This is our final standing skier then. Sergei Alexandrov.
From Russia, Alpine started.
From St. Petersburg. Keep me to find out how old Sergei is. There's no data to tell me how old he is anywhere. Data protection and all that. I must ask somebody at the IPC. He wasn't on the initial list of entries for this one, but he's certainly here. You cannot fault any of the Russians for wanting to ski in home territory. It gives them a chance to get out there and compete against some of the world's best, Balshay being exactly that.
Jasper Pedersen, deep 20.
Only within the last decade has Alexandrov started skiing with his impairments, a double leg break and frostbite, suffered back in 2009. So very much new to him. 16.82 seconds back. Like many of our para-athletes right across the board, not just here in Alpine but in all sports. It's about the competition of beating the limitations that people think you have. No limitations for a double leg amputee on skis. Alexandrov does what he set out to do, get from the top to the bottom, still on those two skis. It's a smile, partly a grimace. Job done in the standing then. Arthur Barchet takes this one from Marcus Salka, who's been getting closer to the Frenchman, but King Arthur stays in his throne. Well, it's the chair in the leader box. Bugayev in third, Khalibayev in fourth, Rosan in fifth. Urapeli preparing himself. He'll be last of the four. He's the only other male sit skier to finish the course. We thought he was going to do that on the first day when he didn't go down where Sikorsky and Kirker did. He then slipped out a little bit further down the course, but he did finish yesterday. So Pedersen and Pelly know what it's like to finally get across the line. Both Kirker and Sikorsky here on day number 3 will have that in mind. Get a finish. Year-old Pedersen. Says that since winning the gold in Pyeongchang, everybody recognises him back in his hometown. Had a heart problem at the beginning of last season, or at least in the build-up to last season, so his performances in the early part weren't what he would have wanted, and certainly with it being a World Championship year, he was disappointed with some of the performances that were down to that ill health. These are some of the excellent camera work we've got going off, an aerial shot unlike we've seen in the last few seasons, so a fantastic addition here from the host broadcasters in Sakhalin. Now that's Andrew Kirker. So either Jesper Pedersen isn't competing or he's already out on the course. I'm afraid I can't tell you the answer to that. I wish I could, but this is definitely Andrew Kirker.
номер 21, Соединенные Штаты Америки, спортсмены выступают
Andrew Kurka from USA, trip 21.
No US for Pedersen today then, it would seem. Kirker out and about. And has got further than his first 2 days. That'll be a delight to Andrew Kirker, who showed me the bruising on the upper right side of his torso, around about above the rib cage. Looked nasty. He just said, I'm hurting inside. It looked like it hurt on the outside, not on the inside, but he's a tough lad. Andrew Kirk, he really is. And he looks like he's on course here to finish his race. Through he comes then, celebrating the finish line, 1:05.35.
Time of Andrew Kurka is 1 minute 5.
You see him just concentrating. It's actually been a malfunction of equipment in the first 2 days that's cost Andrew Kirk, who's explaining to me and showing me the binding on his skis that just shorn off. Korsky. Well, he was 1 from 2 of that jump. He's now 2 from 3. But it was around about here yesterday that cost him. He ended up in the nets down the side. He's going to go down this side. Wow, of course, Sikorsky, unlike Andrew Kirker, he's going to end up with a snow beard. 3 out of 3. And that will really, really annoy him. Got through the early stages again, got a little bit further, and Andrew Kirker
Did not finish.
will now know. I'm sure the lady announcing in the background. There's Sikorsky going off the course. So, unless Murat Pelli can come up with a super quick time, you fancy that Kirker, a Paralympic champion in his own right, will stay in the victory box. Sikorsky didn't need the fences this time. We're into our final athlete of the morning already. So, Murat, 37-year-old. He's gone through 80 different operations since his diagnosis back in 2003.
Murat Billy from Switzerland, Vivo 23 is on course.
Seconds down. This course has had its issues for the fast-flying Sid skiers in the men's division. Murat trying to nail the line that he would have had in his mind. 1.54 the difference now. Just nips out of the blue line, but that's fine. It's as long as you're inside the gates that matters. You can leave the course any way you like. We saw Murat slide out yesterday and get back in because he was still within the gates. And there you are, the arms aloft. It's back-to-back silver medals in terms of places for Murat Peli. But a different winner this time around. We'll try and bring you some news on Jesper Pedersen's absence when you rejoin us in a few days' time. No competition tomorrow, by the way. So Kirka 105.35, 107.50 from Peli. Pedersen not coming out of the gate this time, and Igor Sikorsky hitting an unwanted hat-trick. Into the snow at the side he went. That completes the action for day number 3. We'll have a run-through of results in a matter of moments. Andrew Kirka takes the men's sitting. He won't really be bothered by the time. He'll be delighted to have got to the bottom. Igor Sikorsky's just gone down past him. He said, just asking each other how they are. So it does indeed bring a snowy end to day number 3. Women's downhill, as you were, Boucher, Voroshikina and Schmidt, as we were in the first 2 days. Stevens competing on her own, getting down to the bottom in 121.82. Should she be pushed by another, I'm sure Stevens would have the ability to go much, much faster if needed. Men's vision impaired. Bertagnoli back-to-back victories after losing out to Herreus on day 1. He comes second for a second day running, and Ivan Frantsev is the also ran in that 3-horse race again. Men's standing has only one king. As much as Marcus Salka keeps pushing, Artur Bauchet maintained his position at the top of the pile. A couple of Russian athletes chasing hard, and it's a podium position again for a Russian, this time Alexei Bogayev. Men sitting, just 2 finishing again here on day number 3. Sikorsky sliding out once more. Peli celebrated his finish on 107.50, but he couldn't get near Kirka's time of 105.35. The snow's coming. We're all going to run back to our hotel in Hyde. From day 3, from Sakhalin, goodbye.